Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us this evening, and we are delighted to see so many of you here. You are all most welcome, which is not the same as you are almost welcome. First of all, an apology on behalf of our MP, Philip Hammond. Mr. Hammond was planning to join us, but last week we received confirmation that he was moving into Downing Street today, number 11, not number 10. I suppose that we can allow him to regard being Chancellor of the Exchequer as sometimes taking precedence over the Egham Museum, besides which there is the small matter of the Autumn Statement to deal with, so I suppose we'll let him off this time. He has promised, or indeed threatened, to come back at another time, so because he is actually supportive of us. Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Vivian Bairstow, and indeed for those of you that do know me, my name is Vivian Bairstow, which is great. And I am chairman of the Egham Museum Trust. Several fellow trustees are here this evening, and some of them will speak after me, and they will therefore introduce themselves. Now, welcome, of course, to the Literary Institute, this fine building, which is a listed building that dates back to around 1788. It must be true because it's printed here on this script. This building was originally known as the Assembly Rooms. It was built as part of the next door Red Lion pub, and not just to be the smoking shelter, but as there is now next door, but nonetheless to demonstrate, as it were, that there were extra facilities in licensed premises in those days. And so there would have been dances, receptions, etc. And perhaps the Assembly Rooms had their heyday, that is to say until the Egham Museum was formed, at the time of the Egham races, which were held annually on Runnymede until the last race meeting in 1884. So there's a strong chance that none of you will remember that last race meeting. Now, being an old resident of the area, I have memories of the front section of the Literary Institute, where the Egham Museum is situated, as being the public library. It had a very distinctive smell. I don't know whether you can instantly remember smells that hit your nostrils in life, but the distinctive smell that I remember of the library seemed to be a mixture of sort of lino-polished dust and paper, and the windows were never opened. So it was a particularly interesting tang. Does anyone else remember the library here? Not one of you, gosh, I really am old. Now, because of the significant history of the building stretching back, as I said, to 1788, it is quite apt that we are all here this evening, over 200 years later, to celebrate its history, as well as the slightly more recent Egham Museum. The Egham Museum was founded in 1968 by Egham by Runnymede Historical Society, which is a registered charity, and which itself was founded the year before in 1967. It was set up at a time when many changes were taking place in the area, and there was a sense that we were losing our heritage, both as regards buildings and also items of local historical interest. In the early days, the Society collected a variety of items and carried out lots of research relating to its area of interest, which is also, of course, the museums, which is Egham, Egham Hythe, Englefield Green, Thorpe, and Virginia Water. And that is still its centre of interest today. Now, in 1979, and to give greater security to the objects collected, the Historical Society formed the Egham Museum Trust, which is another registered charity, and as I said earlier, I am chairman of that trust. Happily, we have in the trust a very supportive local authority who have granted the trust a lease of the museum at a peppercorn rent, and it also supports us in other generous ways. Thank you, Runnymede Borough Council, and may I just add that we are pleased that we have local councillors and other representatives of the council here this evening. Now, reverting to the Society, there is a lot of overlap between the Museum Trust and the Society, perhaps firstly in that the Society has the museum as its home. The trustees are very grateful for the considerable help provided by the Society to the museum over many, many years. to include society volunteers manning and indeed womaning the museum when it is open, as well as much of the extra work necessary to run the museum under the control of our excellent curator, Sarah Corn, who's also the projectionist. And some of those tasks might be, for instance, accessing objects acquired by the Trust. We could not manage without such volunteers who give freely of their time, as also do other volunteers who are not in the society but from the local community. And some of those, for instance, would be from Holloway College. Thus, we still work very closely with the society, and I'm pleased to see so many society members here this evening. We feel that the value of having a museum in the town is crucial to our wider local identity. It brings to life the history of the area and showcases our material culture, making the stories tangible and relevant. And we also believe, I should say, that history ended yesterday. So whatever day it is, it ended yesterday, so we collect things even that are comparatively modern. We have a large archive and reference library to include a collection of images, which makes it a great place to carry out genealogical and historical research into your own history. I believe that understanding our past, personally, locally and nationally, is vital at all stages of our education, as it raises awareness of the world around us and also helps us simply belong to this community, which is important. That the museum is indeed embedded in our local community because it's made up of and run by people from the local community. It is independent and therefore not a political tool and represents you and your histories. It also brings together several volunteers, and they range in age from 18, we believe, through to 88, but I won't identify anyone, I'm sure they're not here now, who work together sharing their love of history and supporting the town and its museum. As I have said earlier, the trustees are indebted to all the volunteers who contribute collectively many hours every week, week in, week out, supporting our ongoing success. Many volunteers are here this evening, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to all of them. We simply could not manage without them. Finally, that most welcome word in any speech, may I mention that during 2015 alone, just to give you some statistics, the museum welcomed nearly 5,000 visitors to the museum and at our pop-up temporary exhibition. A further 10,500 people visited the website, and 126,000 people saw items from our collection as part of the British Library exhibition on Magna Carta. Thus, you'll appreciate this has surely put us well on the map, and indeed in 2018 we look forward to celebrating the museum's first 50 years. Thank you very much and have a great evening.